If you love filet crochet and also love corner-to-corner projects, you can combine both of them. I have several patterns incorporating this hybrid technique, such as shawls, like what I'm wearing here, table runners, and even a series of baby blankets. Today, what we're going to work on is this snowflake doily. This particular one has the designs created by the stitches, and the background is the spaces. And we'll also do this one, which is the opposite, where the design is created by the spaces and the background is filled in. So let's get started. For this pattern, I've used the DMC Baroque size 10 crochet thread and a 1.5 millimeter crochet hook. But to make it a little easier to see, we're going to use this Cotton Kings 8/4 and a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook. And we're going to start out with this doily that has the filled in blocks creating the design and the background with the spaces. Okay, normally when you look at a chart, you will be working straight across rows like this. But to do corner to corner, we're going to start in the first corner and do 1 square, and then we're going to do the next row, we're going to do the 2 squares. The third row we'll do 3 squares, and we'll keep continuing up as it gets larger, and then once we reach the midpoint, we're going to decrease until we get to the other end with the last square. So we're going to start with this first square right here, and that is an open space. So to start out, we're going to put my slip knot, we're going to chain 9. And then we're going to double crochet in that first chain. So that makes that first square. Now for row 2, we're going to do these next 2 grids right there. So those are both open spaces. And since this design is symmetrical, it doesn't matter which way you're reading the pattern, but if it was not symmetrical, you would have to make sure and do odd numbers this way and even numbers this way so that you get the design going correctly. So for row 2, we have 2 open spaces. So we're going to start with the beginning open space. So we're going back, we turned the work, we're going back the other direction. So we're going to chain 8. I'm going to skip the double crochet and the next 2 chain, and then slip stitch in the next chain. So we have our beginning open space, and now we're going to do an end open space. So we're going to chain 5, skip 2 chain, and then we're going to double crochet in the next chain. So we have 2 more open spaces. Now we're ready for row 3. We're going to do this row here. So we have a beginning open space, another open space, and an end open space. So the beginning space was chain 8. Right, make sure you turn your work, you're going back the other way. You're going to skip that double crochet and the next 2 chain, and then slip stitch in the next chain. Now we're going to do an open space. So we're going to chain 5, and then you're going to skip the chain space, the slip stitch, and the next 2 stitches. And when you're counting stitches, we're always counting the chains as well as a stitch, because when you are working next to a filled block, one where it's filled in, instead of a chain, those might be a double crochet. So we're skipping a chain space, the slip stitch, then the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet in the next chain. I'm sorry, slip stitch in the next chain. And then we're going to do an end open space. So that was chain 5. And then we're going to skip 2 chain and double crochet in the next chain. And that we're skipping 2 chain, but it's also the 3rd chain up. So as you're looking at this chain, it's 1, 2, 3 from this direction as well. So now we have 3 rows done. So for row 4, we have a beginning open space, 2 open spaces, and an end open space. So we're going to chain 8 for our beginning open space. And we're going to skip the double crochet in the next 2 chain and slip stitch in the next chain. Then we have 2 more open spaces. We're going to chain 5, skip the chain space, the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. So 1 more open space. We're going to chain 5, skip the chain space, the slip stitch in the next 2 chain, slip stitch in the next chain, and then our end open space. So the beginning and the end open spaces are increasing our width each time. So we're chain 5, skip 2 chain, double crochet in the last chain, or in the next chain. So now we have 4. So row 5, we have a beginning open space, an open space, then we have a block that's filled in, an open space, and an end open space. So with my beginning open space, I'm going to chain 8, we're going to go back the other direction, skip 2 chain, or skip the double crochet, 2 chain, and slip stitch in the next chain. Then we have an open space, so that is chain 5, skip the chain space, slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. So now we have a block, so we're going to fill in that square. So we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to work 2 double crochet in that chain space right here. And then we're going to skip a slip stitch in the next 2 chain and slip stitch in that next chain. So now we have a filled in block. And typically when you're doing corner to corner, you'll see it done with 3 double crochet, but since I'm doing this as a combination with filet crochet, I use 2 double crochet for my patterns. So now we have 1 more open space, is chain 5, skip the chain space, slip stitch, next 2 chain, slip stitch in the next chain. And then my ending open space, which is chain 5, skip 2 chain, and then double crochet in the next chain. Okay, so I will meet you back. We're going to do, this is 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I will meet you back on row 9 when we have some more of the blocks to fill in. Now we're ready for row 9. So we have a beginning open space, 3 open spaces, a block, 3 open spaces, and an end open space. So we're going to chain 8, skip the double crochet in the next 2 chain, slip stitch in the next chain. Then we have 3 open spaces. That's chain 5, skip the chain space, slip stitch in the next 2 chain, and slip stitch in the next chain. So 2 more times. Okay, now we have our block. So that is chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 chain, or the next 2 stitches, and slip stitch in the next chain. Then we have 3 more open spaces. There's 2. And our end open space. Just chain 5, skip 2 chain, slip stitch in the, or double crochet in the next chain. And that's row 9. Row 10 is all open spaces, so I will meet you back to do row 11. So for row 11, we have a beginning open space, 3 open spaces, 3 blocks, 3 open spaces, and an end open space. So we're gonna chain 8, skip the double crochet in the next 2 chain, slip stitch in the next. And we have 3 open spaces. That's the 5 chain. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. Now we have 3 blocks. So that's chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. 1 more, chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, and skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Okay, and our last one, 1, 2, 3 chain, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Now we're going to do 3 more open spaces. There's 2. And our end open space. There's chain 5, skip 2 chain, double crochet in the next chain. So that is row 11. For row 12, we have a beginning open space, a block, 3 open spaces, 2 blocks, 3 open spaces, a block, and an end block. So we're going to chain 8, skip the double crochet and the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in that next chain. Then we have a block, so that's chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Then we have 3 open spaces, so in this one you're seeing where we're working next to a block, so we're skipping the chain space, the slip stitch, the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Okay, now we have 2 blocks, 2 double crochet in that chain space. Now we're going to skip the slip stitch, next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. We have another block, so chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. So now I have 3 more open spaces. There's 1, 2, and 3. Then I have a fill block. That's chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain, and now my end open space. So my chain 5, skip 2 chain, double crochet in the next chain. Okay, so I will meet you back after row 21, which is this middle row right here, because we will start decreasing at that point. So I'll meet you back. Okay, now we're on row 22, and you can see now it's starting to indent. So for this first one, I'm just going to turn the work, and then we're going to skip the double crochet and slip stitch in the next 3 chain. Okay, and now we're at the point where we're going to start the next stitch right here. So this is just for that first row where we're starting to decrease. We're going to slip stitch. So now we have 1, 2, 3. Have 4 open spaces. We have 1 block, 8 open spaces, and 1 block. Okay, we're going to chain 3, 2 double crochet, and slip stitch. There's my block. Now I have my 8 open spaces. 8. I have my block. And now we're going to do 4 open spaces and 4 spaces. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, for the last one, we're going to do a decrease open space. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to skip the chain space, slip stitch in next 2 chain, and double crochet in the next chain. So that made my open space, but now it's heading back the other way. So that was a decrease open space. Okay, for row 23, for this open space, I'm going to go ahead and turn my work. We're already at the starting point. Since we did that double crochet there, we're already at the starting point for this stitch right here. So we can just do a regular open space, which is the chain 5, skip the chain space, slip stitch in next 2 chain, and slip stitch. So there's our first open space. We've done this one. We have 1, 2, 3 more open spaces. Okay, there's the 3. We have a block and 3 more open spaces. Okay. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we have 3 blocks. So chain 3, 2 double crochet, and slip stitch. There's 2. Okay, then we have 3 open spaces and another block. And our block. Okay, and then we have 3 more open spaces, and then we're going to have to do a decrease open space. So there's 1, 2, and then we're going to do our decrease. So that was chain 2, skip the chain space, the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, double crochet in that next chain. Okay, so for the remainder of the rows, when you start the row, since you're starting in the right place for this square right here, you're going to do an open space. When you get to the end, you need to do the chain 2 and the double crochet to do a decrease. So I will meet you at the end with the last open space. Okay, I'm at my last square, so I'm going to do just a regular open space, my chain 5, and then skip the chain space, slip stitch in next 2 stitches, and slip stitch in that next chain. So now we're ready for the border. It's going to start from here. We're going to work around this outside edge just like you're working into a chain space. So we're going to slip stitch in this next square, chain 1, and single crochet. Then we're going to chain 3, and then I'm going to double crochet through the center of this single crochet. So that's right through the center through these loops right here. So I double crocheted in the center of that single crochet. Then we're gonna single crochet in the next square, do the same thing, chain 3, and then we're gonna double crochet through the center of this single crochet. Single crochet in the next square, chain 3, double crochet through the center of that single crochet. You keep doing the same thing, single crochet, chain 3, double crochet through the center of the single crochet. So we're going to keep going all the way down till you single crochet in this corner square. So I will meet you at the corner square. Okay, I've ended with my single crochet in this corner square. So I am going to chain 3, double crochet in the center of that single crochet, chain 3 again. This time we're going to single crochet through the top of the double crochet. So go through those same top loops, single crochet, then we're going to chain 3 again, and then double crochet through the center of that last single crochet. And then we're going to single crochet again in this corner. So that's a nice little design for the corner. So now you're going to continue around doing that same thing, chain 3, double crochet in the center, single crochet in the next square. So I will meet you at the next corner. Okay, now I'm at the next corner, so we'll go over that corner again. So we're going to chain 3, double crochet through the center of that single crochet, chain 3 again, single crochet through the top of that double crochet, chain 3 again, and we're going to double crochet through the center of that last single crochet, and then single crochet in that same corner. Okay, so I will meet you back at the last corner. And now I'm at the last corner. I'm going to chain 3, double crochet through the center of that single crochet, another chain 3, single crochet through the top, another chain 3, double crochet through the center of that single crochet, and then single crochet in that same corner. Now we just have to finish the last space on that side. So we're going to chain 3, double crochet in the center, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch in that first single crochet, and then we'll fasten off. So that is corner to corner and fillet with a positive design where the block stitches make the design. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do a design that has the filled background. It's a negative designs because the absence of the stitches create the design. So like we did the other one, we're going to start in the corner, and we're going to start with this first block right here. So we're going to chain 7. And then we're going to double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then also double crochet in those last 2 chain. So that is our first block. So now for the next row, we have a beginning block and an end block. So for the beginning block, we're going to chain 6. Okay. And we're going to make sure you turn your work. We're going to double crochet in the 5th and the 6th chains from the hook. And since we're working on the next side, I like to go in through the back of the chain. So there's our 5th chain. I'm going to double crochet, and then the 6th chain, and then we're going to skip this one and the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. So we skipped that first double crochet, the next 2 stitches, and slip stitch in that next chain. So for the end block, we're going to chain 3. We're going to work 2 double crochet in that chain space. And then we're going to double crochet in the 3rd chain up. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it's the next one after where these double crochet were worked. And that creates the end block. For the next row, we have a beginning block, another block, and then an end block. So we're going to do our chain 6. We're going to double crochet in that 5th chain from the hook. So I'm working on the back side of the chain. This is my 5th chain. And then double crochet in the 6th chain. And then we're going to skip all those 3 double crochets and slip stitch in that next chain. Okay, now we're going to just work a filled block. So that's chain 3, 2 double crochet in that chain space. We're going to skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. And then the end block is chain 3, 2 double crochet in this chain space. And then we're going to double crochet in that 3rd chain up. So there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, for row 4, you have a beginning block, 2 blocks, and an end block. So we're going to chain 6. We're going to double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook on the back of that chain. So there's my 5th chain and the 6th chain. We're going to skip the double crochet in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Now we have 2 blocks. There's 1. Chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Okay, now we have our end blocks. That's chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, and then double crochet in that 3rd chain up. That's row 4. Okay, for row 5, we have a beginning block, an open space, a block, and an end block. So we're going to chain 6. We're going to double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook and the 6th. Skip the double crochet in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. We have another block, so it's chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Now we have an open space, so that's a chain 5, skip the chain space, slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Okay, a filled block, which is chain 3, 2 double crochet, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain, and then our end block. So chain 3, 2 double crochet in the chain space, and then double crochet in that 3rd chain up. Okay. Row 6, have a beginning block, 4 blocks, and an end block. So there's my 6th chain. I'm going to double crochet in the 5th chain and the 6th chain. Skip the double crochet in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Then we have 4 more blocks. This is my 2nd one. So I'm skipping my slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Chain 3, 2 double crochet in that chain space. Skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. So 1 more block. and my end block. That was my chain 3, 2 double crochet, and then double crochet in that third chain up. So this is the same, using the same stitches as the previous doily. It's just using the spaces for the design. So I will meet you back at the center so I can show you how to start decreasing. So at the end of row 21, we'll meet back. Okay, I finished row 21 and I am ready to start on this next row that's going to decrease. So we're going to start with that block right there. So we're going to turn your work, skip the first DC, and then slip stitch in each of the next 2 double crochet and the next chain. So that puts us in the right place to start this block. So then we'll chain 3, 2 double crochet in that chain space, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, and then slip stitch in the next chain. Okay, we have 4 more blocks. Oops, only 3 chain, 2 double crochet, and slip stitch. Chain 3, 2 double crochet, and slip stitch. 2 more. Skip the slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the next chain. Then 1 more. Okay, then we have an open space. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks. Okay, then we need 1 more open space and then 4 more blocks. There's my open space. There's 2 blocks. There's the 3rd one and 1 more. Okay, and then the last one is just going to be worked the same. So we're going to do our chain 3, 2 double crochet, skip the slip stitch in the next 2 DC, and slip stitch in the next chain. So now we're starting to go the other way. So we're going to flip that over, And then to get to the starting point for the next row, we're going to skip the slip stitch and we're going to slip stitch in the 2 double crochet and chain. So now we're in the right place to start the next row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. So we're going this way now. There's 2. Three. And 4. We have 1 open space. So it's chain 5. Then we have 1, 2, 3 blocks. And we have 3 open spaces. And 1 more. Then we have 3 more blocks. There's 2, and my 3rd. Okay, then we have 1 more open space and 4 more blocks. There's my open space. There's 2 blocks. And my last one. Okay, so now we need to turn and slip stitch again. Okay, now to get ready for the next row, we're going to skip that slip stitch in each of the next 2 double crochet and the chain. So you'll keep going back and forth across all the way till you get to the very top and you have your 1 block left. You can see when we're working this way, all the stitches are facing this direction. So when you get to this last block, your double crochet are going to be here and you're going to connect with a slip stitch right there. So you will end in the same place that we did on the other doily to start the border. So you will be using the same border for this doily. The difference is we're working into blocks. So on the side where you have a double crochet, you're going to work into that just like you're working into a chain space. When you get to a block where the double crochet meet the edge, you're going to work the single crochet between those two double crochet. So as you're going down, you'll work the single crochet like you're working into a chain space, and then the single crochet between the two double crochet. But other than that, you will follow the same directions for the border. So that shows you how to do the corner to corner and fillet hybrid technique, to either do a positive design where the blocks make the design, or a negative design where the open spaces create the design. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for watching.